Once upon a time, two boys grew up playing hockey in the village of Terrace, British Columbia. One of them went on to play in the National Hockey League. The other became a comedian. Now, one flies planes and coaches youth hockey. The other is still a comedian and owns new skates. This is their podcast, Enjoying Orange Slices with Jeff and Ian.
Hello, Jeff. We missed last week, but this, I don't even know. I'm so off. We took a week off. I don't even know how to say it. Hi, Jeff.
Hello.
What show do we do here? Hello. Welcome to Enjoying Orange Slices. Oh my goodness. How's your week?
It's been busy.
All right. I think I asked for everybody. Are you caught up in the cyber warfare? Is your planes moving?
Yeah, I was in Seattle and I woke up and I looked at a little kind of thing. They'd slipped some paper slipped under the door, and I thought it was my bill for the food. And I come to find out, I look and I see global IT outage, and of course the first thing I'm thinking is cyber. Like, oh boy. And I happened to look out the
Jeff,
window.
The first thing he panicked is worried about his gold stocks on Skeena Dut.
I didn't really, I never really thought about that. Maybe I should have, but I looked out the window and the first thing I see is an Alaska Airlines airplane landing in Seattle. So I'm like, well, I guess it must be okay. It's amazing though, right? Like how something like that, they were just trying to put in a patch to make you more secure, and everything got all bunged up, I guess, right? But
that's crazy.
I mean, the airline industry, like it happened we were staying at a Hyatt, which I really like. Hyatt's are great hotels, but they're like, oh my God, we hope to be back up by noon. They were upside down. But then it affects your airlines and so many other things like hospitals and like huge infrastructure parts of your of the country, right? So technology is great when it works, but when there's a little bit of a foobar, then it gets up on two wheels really quick.
It was funny because we flew back that day, and of course the flight out of Terrace in the afternoon was late, so I didn't even think anything about it. But we were late in Vancouver, but we got in at about 1 a.m. and everybody was all in a kerfuffle, and I was like, man, these people are mad that we're an hour late. I didn't realize it was all going on. I just thought, oh, we're an hour late, and they're all fired up. But turns out that people were all trying to get places and they couldn't get places. It affected more. And I know this is a hockey podcast. But it's a life podcast as well. We love hockey, but we live life as well. So let that be a lesson. I feel bad for people that miss their vacations, but things could be a lot worse. So at the end of the day, you just kind of have to go, And if you have I'm sure they're all going to be reimbursed, right? Everybody that missed stuff?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, obviously, I thought it was Strike Force, but Strike Force is an MMA outfit, right? So
that's funny. That's who they're sending in to punch the guy that was doing the IT update.
They're like, everyone's heading down to Strike Force and they're not getting anywhere because they're running into a bunch of MMA fighters.
Hey guys, what's the problem? Smack.
So it's not Strike Force. It's what is it called?
It's a Crowd Force or Crowdstrike or something.
Yeah, I would say that, they're probably taking some phone calls right now, but
changing their name
to Strike Force, and want to come after them. We're Strike Force. I think what struck me, no pun intended, is so when I got to the airport in Seattle on the day it happened, there was thousands of people not only backed up in the terminal, but there was thousands of people out on the arrivals level or departures level, I guess, can't remember, whatever it was, with all their bags. Like I'd never seen so many people. And you think about it, threw everything upside down for a lot of people. And you kind of feel bad because people, like, I don't know, nowadays they kind of plan like a summer vacation, going to see somebody, and it gets thrown upside down, or a wedding, or maybe someone in the family's ill and they're trying to get out and see him. So I have a lot of compassion for what's going on. And of course, the fact that it's, everywhere you go is 100 degrees, 85 to 120 in Vegas. heat doesn't help people manage stress,
Stress.
and we become so, just routine going to the airport and flying across the country in 4 or 5 hours, that when something like this happens, it kind of, you're not going to get in your car and drive there, right? Because you'll never make it. So yeah, it's unfortunate. But
It's crazy.
we're
Also,
still coming out the other side of it too.
the big thing that I've noticed is they've cut back on customer service, and the people that are in customer services are having to work so hard right now, and they're just getting bombarded because all these things. There used to be like 4 or 5 customer service people, right, in the airport for the airline. Now it's one person and 6 phones. So
Yeah.
people, customer service is just, I know it's hard not to yell at the person, but at the end of the day, it's not them, right?
Well, here's a little public service announcement.
Ooh.
We talk about the trainer being the glue of the hockey team. The customer service agent is the glue kind of the airlines. Like, yeah, the pilots move and the flight attendants move the airplanes. Maintenance keeps them, up to speed. You got your reservation ends. You got your people. But your forward-facing people, your customer service agents. So the first person you meet, if you're going to check a bag, your problem with your ticket. But when you get to the gate, those people they're gold. And so you might want to pretend like you got a bar of gold in your hand when you're talking to them, because they can make or break you too. So and they have
they can say there's no more seats when there's one left.
Yeah, they're not wired that way. They actually, the customer service people, it reminds me, I talk about it in Vegas a lot because people come to Vegas to have the time of their life. But when you get to the gate, the customer service person there, 99% of the time, they, are goal oriented. They want to get everybody on. But one thing that people might not realize is how much pressure they are under to get that plane boarded and off the gate. And if you've ever been in an airplane and you felt the jet bridge hit the side of the airplane, it's because they're on a metric to get the jet bridge up to the gate as quick as they can. So what I'm saying is they wear a lot of hats. So you got to make sure you show them some love, because
and the airline industry should too. They should pay them better than what they're being paid.
Well, they
Sorry, I didn't mean to get all union on you.
We have a wildcat strike, but
it would be a perfect time for a strike.
They are great people, and just treat them well, and you know what, they'll do their best to help you out. I get it. Like, I know when I'll give you an example. When families book and they end up getting seats in different places, those people want to get the families together, and then on board, the flight attendants will help you and other people will help you too, but they're not the ones that assigned you the seat, so just work with them. I'm going to borrow a line from you. What do you always say? Just love each other. Isn't that your line?
No, that's you. That's you. Just love each other. Just get along. Come on, people. That's a different fellow. And hey, this is a perfect time for an ad for something that we haven't advertised in a long time. As you're traveling out there, it's a perfect time to go to headygear.com and get yourself a backpack from Brett Hedican, designed, and his wife, both Olympic stars, as well as in the NHL. Fantastic hockey people. Olympics are coming up. Some of you are traveling. Get a Heady Gear bag. Slap on your country. Slap on your favorite sport. You can put those decals all over it. And yeah, headygear.com. I don't know if you get a discount still, because we haven't given him a shout out.
He probably doesn't. He's unfriended us. He's blocked us. You know what? Talking about the Olympics. And there is a tie into hockey here, so we're kind of slowly rounding the corner. But our favorite Olympian is not attending the Olympics now.
Who's that?
That would be one Darren Millard.
Millard's not going. I completely forgot. Yeah, he's got an injury in his butthole or something.
Oh, jeez.
No, he's got. He's not making. He's
how
unable
do you get
to
away
make
with saying stuff like that? They pay you to say stuff like that. That's the crazy part about it. Oh my goodness.
Remind me after we're stopped filming. I have to tell you something from dinner last night when we were out with Randy Ann and Adrian.
Oh boy,
It was Adrian's 50th last night, and we went for dinner with a group of people, and I did something at dinner that just Carrie Ann I might not be married again.
it's tough to outdo Randy Ann when she gets going too. So you must
She's
have really pulled the
fantastic.
rabbit out of the hat. But
It was with the right group of people though.
you were. They're awesome. And Adrian still got my.
Millard's not going.
No, okay. So Mallard's not going, and I was like, I can help you fix your airline ticket if that's what's got you down. Because originally,
he didn't get first class, so he's angry.
No. Originally, his ticket was he's in Toronto, and he was going to head over from Toronto. So, but he booked it because he wasn't sure if he was going to be in Vegas or Toronto.
Mm-hmm.
Which he hasn't been here in 3 weeks or 4 weeks, so I don't know why he got confused. But he booked his ticket. So he booked his ticket. He was going Toronto, Vegas, turn it around, Vegas, Toronto, Paris.
No way.
So I thought he was like, I can't do this. I'm pulling out of the Olympics. But he's having a great summer and being a great family man that Millard is. Because he gives so much time to the Vegas Golden Knights in NHL during the season, he decided that it was more important to spend time with his family than chase his Olympic dream. So I think as much as I'd love to see him go, I just think it's the greatest thing in the world that he said he couldn't do that to his lovely wife, Jen. And if you've ever met Jen, she is not only lovely, but she is also his wife. So
what people don't get is they're gone for I think he's gone for 5 weeks or something if he had gone. And that's when you have a family and, you're trying to keep things together and you go right into the season, basically. Mm-hmm. You gotta say no every so often. It can't always be about chasing your career when you've started a family. Good for him for realizing that. Good for Mo.
I'll have to remind him he started a family with his 14 and 18-year-old kids.
Yeah.
I mean, hey, Lord Bagg said,
nobody has
started a family.
You know what I'm saying? But he started a family, but he's got the family. I know they're older, but still you only get 18 summers with them until they're not.
Here we go. Now you're going down that road. You're trying to make me feel bad again. I know.
Yeah.
Tell
Take
everybody.
That shame.
I know, but I've already handled this. You only get to see people so often. I get it. But, one thing about Millard, he spends so much time during the season working with the Golden Knights and giving. And that's his job. I get it. But this guy goes above and beyond. And he knows how much it pains me to compliment him. So we'll have to chirp him a little bit later. But he is unbelievable. And he also does a lot of stuff in the local community to help our youth and help support the game of hockey, which is really what this podcast is all about.
What? I know you may not get much hockey information, but it's all about hockey.
Yeah.
No, he's fantastic. And for a guy that can't ride a bike,
that's one of the first things you learn to do. Like there's two gifts in life, right? Riding a bike and swimming. So I'm not sure I hope he doesn't swim like he rides a bike or he'll be 0 for 2.
I have a great bad bike story involved with a lake. So we were in camping when I was a kid in I think Williams Lake. We were headed to the Okanagan. We're stopped at Williams Lake. There's a nice lake around there, and we spent a couple of days there. And there was a dock that went out to the lake, and we had bikes, and my sister was down at the end. She wasn't on her bike, and she was just watching. I come flying down on my bike, get almost to the end, tire slips into the crack, right? Instant stop, instant fly into the lake.
That's awesome.
She just watching, Jocelyn just watching like, that's just disgusted in me. Like
the same face she gets all these years later. I love it. I
just remember, oh yeah, I guess the tires can slip between those cracks.
Yeah.
I think it was about 10 or something.
That's the end of your X Games career.
That was the beginning of it. That should have been the beginning of it. If people seen that, I was so disappointed nobody else seen it because it was an instant. It was like a movie, you're flying through the air.
Did you stick the landing or did you belly flop?
No, I think I went in feet first.
Wow. So did you do a loop or like a cartwheel?
I was straight, just right off the bike.
Oh, and then you used your superior athleticism to get your feet back underneath you so you could go in feet first.
I think it flipped me is what it did. I think because my head is so big, it just pulled me right over.
That's right. The gravitational pull of the whole thing. My brother,
head.
Pa Doug, my brother had a buddy, Harry, and I can't remember his last name right now, but he was riding behind where the McDonald's is now in Terrace, and there used to be a big ditch there. And we always rode our bikes through there. It was just like a freeway, right? Go from the sidewalk onto the road. So he sees this good-looking girl one day, so he puts his hands behind his head to ride through the ditch. Hey, while you're picking yourself up, see you at the dentist. He knocked out all his teeth.
No way.
Yeah.
Oh my
so
God.
He put his hands behind his head, and he's going to ride through the ditch with his hands behind his head.
That's so funny.
I'll get
so many good ideas.
Get
his name because we got to throw. It's so many good ideas that don't turn out start with a good-looking girl walking by.
Yeah, so
let me impress this. Whoa.
He had a fantastic bridge at 14 years old, front bridge.
And never took his hands off the handlebars again.
Oh my, yeah. He was like a bull rider after that. He tied him onto the handlebars, like not getting off no matter what. So no matter how hard she flips me.
Oh God! Oh, that's awesome.
Hey,
okay,
so
anyways.
we don't have a bunch of time.
That's such a Canadian.
Today.
That's a Canadian.
What?
Hey, so.
Yeah. Actually, yeah. I was. That's something like Cab would do, but then she'd give you a bless your heart shortly thereafter.
Hey, so bless your heart.
Yeah. I was going to say we need to touch on some. I know it's summertime and people want to hear all our great stories about the lake and bikes and travel. But
when we were in Terrace last week, we did go up. We got as far as we could to the top of Shames, up to Shames. So beautiful. I had no idea that ski hill was that nice.
It's unbelievable back there, isn't it?
Yeah, take a look at this picture. I'm giving Brian 2 pictures.
Give him some love.
Yeah. Speaking of Brian, we got to give him a shout out. We didn't even let him know that we weren't doing last week. We knocked him over huge. Sorry, I didn't mean to say that. He can bleep that out.
Sense enhancers today.
Just bad guys. Sorry, Brian. Heart and soul is podcast. Sometimes he's too high to put it up, but he's the heart and soul.
Well, hey, it's a text or a quick phone call, and he's right on it. So
he's right on it.
He puts the peanut butter down and the pizza and goes get some.
He puts the orange in slices.
He does. He's our glue guy. So
he's our customer service.
There's not a lot. I mean, kind of feel
Stan
like
Bowman got
ourselves down going into hockey. What's that?
Let's go. Stan Bowman got a job today.
Yeah. So Stan Bowman was, I guess, suspended from the league for what, 3, 4, 5 years.
He was slapped on the PP for somebody getting touched on the PP.
Yeah. He got nailed for covering some stuff up, right?
Nice ignore. Yeah. Well, he just ignored it. He didn't cover it up. He just ignored it, right?
Well, yeah. You know what? I think we're learning every day as we go forward how to deal better with things that are not appropriate and not right or flat out illegal. So, or against the law. So anyways, he paid his punishment to the league and Edmonton Oilers hired him as their GM today. Which I think is really interesting because I'm looking forward to seeing how he does there. Because when he was in Chicago, we give him his props. He made some nice moves, but Dale Tellin was the guy that kind of was the architect that started that all. And then, so Bowman, he's a GM, so those guys are kind of behind the scenes. You don't see him a bunch. I'm really interested to see what happens to Coach Q now, Coach Quenneville.
Yes, that's why I wanted to bring it up because if Bowman gets a job, Quenneville's not far behind.
No, and whether or not Coach Q gets one before it starts the season, and a shout out to Dean Evison, who got hired with Columbus. Old.
I gotta, can I go,
Yeah.
going to check one?
Yeah.
There's a photo of him punching a guy on the bench. Was that a mistake? Were they celebrating and he just ended up punching the guy?
Yeah, I don't. I think he would get. Dean's pretty fired up. Actually, you know who we need to bring on to talk about Dean is and just loves him is Mallard. But I will say this. I would say that's part of his competitive side because I remember when I first started playing junior at 16, and Dean Evison ran the Western Hockey League. Like he ran it. He was unbelievable. But what you
do you
didn't
mean? Like,
realize while you're getting chased
just one of the
around
toughest
by
guys?
no, he was the highest point getter. Like he led the
Oh,
league,
really?
but he was gritty. You know, he kind of reminded me of like if you were compare him to a guy that over the course of his career just got better and better and better, but accepted any role, was Steve Yzerman. And these guys came out, and obviously Dean wasn't at the level of Stevie Y. I'm not saying that, but that kind of player with that kind of intensity, really, really incredible. And when you're 16 years old, just starting off in the Western Hockey League, you're just trying to survive, right? You're running for your life out there every night. Dean Evison, you just marvel at him. And so he took that into a great NHL career. And then I'm really excited to see what he's going to do in Columbus because he's a high energy guy. That organization needs a huge shot in the arm. And they got, who'd they get from Carolina? The GM from Donnie Waddell, who's been around a long time. So I actually think that they can return to supremacy in the Western Conference with
so they've done neither of those things. They've never been in the Western Conference. They've never had supremacy.
Oh, you might want to look that up.
When would they have supremacy?
The Western Conference.
No, the Western Conference they had with supremacy in the Western Conference because nobody had it, right? You son of a. I got to before we continue on that. We got to go. Let's go back to Everson. So who was he playing for in the WHL?
Evanson. Okay, so Evanson, Dean Evanson. Evanson. Not to be mixed up with Edwardson in LA now. Dean Evison, he was unbelievable. He was like 140 points a year. I have to look that up. Maybe it was 150. And Kamloops was unbelievable. And
that's where he was playing, in Kamloops?
He was in Kamloops.
So who would have been his coach? His coach would have been what's his face?
I don't know if he had Hitchcock, but he had Bill LaForge, and he had trying to think who else he had. He might have had
LaForge was a monster as well, right? He was a monster junior coach.
You know, yeah, just another guy that, you know, yeah. But you had to line up. Like there was coaches that were in that league and even in the IHL American League, these guys were old school, like old school. That's about the only way I could put it. But Evison, Kamloops was unreal. We played them 16 times my first year. Jesus. And you can only imagine what our record was. 1-15. 1-15.
Are you serious?
Yeah, we were 1-15 the first year, and then the next year.
What number was that? Where on that list was the win? Like, was it at the beginning, and then there was no hope?
Yeah, like just after Christmas, around Christmas.
Oh, so
and then we were up on them a couple games later in Kamloops, and they came back. And after they came back, LaForge had put it in the paper that they were gonna brawl us. They were gonna line brawl. He put it right in the paper. And sure enough, at the end of that game, we're out there. Oh yeah. Oh,
there's no way. There's no way we're going down 14-2 with these idiots. We'll line brawl them.
Yeah, he put it right in there. So, I mean, that's the kind of stuff that was going on. But we're talking about Evison, and I don't know. I think he did a good job in many. I think just like every other coach and every other person, you learn from your experiences. And I really think this is the time for Columbus. And ironically enough, it's also the time for Utah/Arizona. So
leave Arizona at it. Just say Utah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Utah. But you know what? People know how long, if you're a fan of Arizona, which, I mean, you kind of had to be a fan of those guys after a while. They kept on getting beat down. You're like, hey, but I really believe that that those are two teams that we should keep a close eye on. in the upcoming season, because I do think there'll be some fireworks and some definitely in Utah and a trending upward in Columbus. Mm-hmm.
I find Columbus and Minnesota the same kind of organization where they just can't get over the hump.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they do fairly well, but they just don't get over the hump. And I don't know, do you think that's ownership, or is that just not being able to, it's just not, I don't know what it is. There's something like they're just okay. Like Minnesota has so many pieces, but they're really, at the end of the day, they're just okay.
Yeah. Well, one of the things that you have to remember with Minnesota is they bought out Suter and Parise, and so they're kind of hamstrung. They're playing with what, 3/4 to 80% of the budget everyone else is. They're hit. I think they're taking a hit for over 10 million a year. So that's not to say, and they're competitive, but you're right. How would they look? You know, you look at some of these teams, you go, oh, they just can't seem to get it going. Columbus has been one false start after another, right? And the latest one was with hiring Babcock, and then they had to let him go, and then it rolls down the hill again. So now they've made a clean break, and here we go. So they've got a clean slate there. With Mini, look at the division they're in. Okay, so you've got Colorado, Dallas, right, perennially top, and then you have St. Louis, who's competitive every year. Nashville, who was unbelievable second half of the year. So now you got 4 teams in your division that are as good or better than you. Okay, so you need some breaks. Now Chicago, and here comes Utah. So you know what I mean? If you look at that division, you're like, okay, where do we fit in? And they're pretty good. And then you look at the Pacific, and you got Edmonton, Vancouver, and Vegas and LA are going to be in there somewhere. And then there's always a wild card, like maybe Seattle gets going again or whatever. So I don't know. I don't know if they're a victim of circumstance.
Calgary could actually do something.
Well, Calgary could be okay, but one thing that's going to help Calgary.
I get you fired up when I say Calgary could do something. You're like,
no. I really like Calgary, but here's the problem. Their problem has been too much drama around the team. Now they've started to get rid of that drama, and here, this is our team, guys. This is what we're doing. So I actually think they're going to go into training camp a little bit differently. But we're talking. I don't know. I mean, if you look at where Mini is, they're a victim of cap circumstance for sure. And then there's really good teams around them, not only in their division but in their conference. And so maybe it bounce here or there, changes the way their season progresses. But they'll play hard. I mean, they got a bunch of gritty guys up there, and they play hard. Just a matter of if they can get a few more bounces than they got last year.
Nice.
Yeah,
so we got to wrap it up. You got to get going. So we got to wrap it up. I just looked at the clock and I was like, oh, you said,
what are we, like 2 hours?
Of course. We'll just do 67 minutes later. Oh, we got interviews coming up this summer.
Oh, yeah, we do. The interviews.
We do have some interviews coming up. We got some interviews coming up. I know you guys are excited about that. Millard will be back. He'll be back a couple times this summer. Now that he doesn't have his Olympic champion going on, we'll do a show hopefully every week. We might miss one here and there, but thanks for listening. We'll see you next week. Jeff, do you want to do a shout out?
Yeah, I can do a shout out, but I want to say we covered a lot of ground and we covered hockey today, but part of when we say we're going to interview someone, we're kind of a little bit of fake news too, right? Because we keep telling you we're going to do it, but we don't do it, but we're going to do it.
It's not going to be
beautiful,
but it's going to be on soon. Yeah, it's going to be fantastic. It's going to be beautiful. It's Mexico is going to pay for this interview. It's going to be fun. It's going to be the best interview ever.
Ever. People have never seen an interview as good as this interview is going to be. I love it. Okay, a shout out. Okay, I got a shout out for Walter Leon. My wife's dad passed last week, and he was 90, and this guy was something else. But when we went to do the arrangements, and the whole family was able to be there, which was awesome. So we go to do the arrangements, and they look and they go, could you give us a word to explain or to describe Dad? And the first word that came out was challenging, then character, then chaos. And he wouldn't have it any other way. So big shout out to Wally. I tell you what, this guy, iron will, unbelievable work ethic, and you know what, just a real character. And you know, he made it. You know, you go, oh, make it your dream, the American dream or Canadian dream. He was born in Victoria, made it his Canadian dream. Hated paying taxes, didn't like the government. Loved his horses, worked hard every day. So what else is there,
kids.
right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and so he passed it all along to the kids. But anyways, Wally, he's resting now, and he's probably looking down at me, telling me to shut up. So big shout out to Wally, and he had unbelievable kids, beautiful kids, and they're all off doing their thing now, which is really all you can ask as a parent. So that's it.
Awesome. Loved all.